Hi, I'm Andrew Schmid with Nutanix, and today I'm going to show you a demo of Nutanix Calm integrating with Infoblox IPAM. Infoblox is a very popular solution for providing IPAM and DNS services. Using their well-documented REST API, this demo will show Calm requesting and reserving an IP, creating the DNS records, and then building a VM on an AHV cluster and assigning this IP. This demo will show two common ways to query an IP from Infoblox. First, by supplying the network ID, and second, by searching for a network by extendable attributes. To talk to the Infoblox REST API, we utilize eScript inside of our blueprint. eScript is a lightweight Python interpreter that we can use when defining our automation task inside of a blueprint. For this demo, we leverage the request library available in eScript for us to integrate with the Infoblox REST API. Here inside Prism Central, I'll click on the Apps tab to bring up Nutanix Calm. I've created two blueprints, one to show each of the two ways to request an IP. First, we're going to take a look at Infoblox Test Network. Inside of this blueprint, we have two services, one to represent the VM we're going to build and another to represent the Infoblox Grid Master. On the Infoblox Grid Master, we're defining an eScript on the create flow to actually do the work of reserving and finding an IP. Let's bring up the eScript. Here inside the eScript, you can see we have macro variables to define URL, username, and password. We are also building the JSON required for the REST API call to the Infoblox appliance. At the end of the script, we output a variable called Infoblox IP. This is going to contain the IP provided to us from Infoblox. Here on the new VM, we see we can take that variable and inject it into Cloud Init if we want to statically assign the IP. To inject the IP automatically, we can put that output variable inside the static IP field on the VM. Now, let's get ready to launch the VM and take a look at this in action. When we click on the launch button, the request screen comes up. Under input values, you'll see network and domain. Network is where we're statically defining which subnet we want an IP from. We'll click on create to launch the blueprint. This will automatically transition us to the application view of this deployment. On the Audit tab, we can monitor the progress of this deployment. Here we can see all the tasks to build this VM. Here's the eScript reserve IP task. Here we can see the output from the script and the Infoblox IP. Now let's verify that this VM has this IP over in our self-service portal. In SSP, I'll do a search for this VM. And here we can see that AHV has assigned the Infoblox IP address to the VM. Just to double check, let's log into the console of the VM and ensure that the Ethernet interface has assigned this IP. And here we can see it has got the correct IP fed from Infoblox. Now let's move on to the other blueprint, which is where we search for a network by extendable attributes. This blueprint has the same setup with a service to represent the Infoblox Grid Master. On the create flow, we are using the same eScript with just a few modifications inside the script. Here we are defining two attributes, the app type and the site that the network should be deployed at. In the application profile, I have created two runtime inputs to allow the end user to supply the extensible attributes at build time. In this Infoblox instance, there is a VLAN dedicated for database servers and tagged with an extensible attribute for database. During this create, our eScript will go to Infoblox and say, give me an IP that matches these attributes. This is a lot of times easier than knowing exactly which VLAN you need to go to. Now that it's finished, if we look at our eScript task, we can see the output of the Infoblox IP. Now let's pop over to the console and verify that our guest OS has also received this IP searching by extensible attributes. So now we have two successful builds. Let's go into Infoblox and actually look at these objects. Here we can see from the first one, we have the IP reservation, the A record, and the corresponding pointer record. Now let's check the second IP. Here we can see the IP by extensible attributes also has an IP4 reservation, the corresponding A record, and pointer record. I hope this demo helped you understand how we can use Calm to integrate with IPAM systems such as Infoblox. If you have any questions about this integration, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter and also visit my GitHub for a copy of these blueprints. Thank you for taking the time to watch this demo.